Gaetz asked national security guy Olson some very poignant questions. And because the cutting is so bad, because we do not get to see Olson as the question is asked, it makes the video not as revealing as it would have been. And we're not even going to focus on Olson because all we get to see is his BS answer. But we will be focusing on the two gentlemen behind him that love to talk.
Is Hunter Biden a national security threat?
That's not a question that would come up before me, Congressman.
You're the head of the National Security Division, so it seems sort of on the nose.
It's not in my practice or experience to identify individuals.
So you don't really get anything. He's just repeating. The other two, red tie and blue tie, are just listening and paying attention.
And to
We've
label
heard that
any
before.
individual, an American citizen, or any individual as a national security threat.
Well, you would.
So now, red tie, blue tie are giving good direct eye contact to the questioner, which is Gaetz. And red tie has crossed his legs and put his little arms across his little lap because his feelings are getting hurt.
Certainly concede that if the adult offspring of the President of the United States or the Vice President were compromised, that would be a national security threat, right?
We speak through our filings in court.
So blue tie over here hears this, slowly moves his head down and away from Gaetz, and he's focusing inward. The thought process is starting to get through. Really? This is a different perspective. This is not how we talk about this in the office. And red tie guy is just looking at him doggedly. So the question with information of a different perspective isn't even getting through to red guy. And unfortunately, he seems to be alpha, whereas blue tie is beta.
And we speak through our actions in open court. So I would
speak to this.
remain
Where's the laptop?
in that position.
Do you know where Hunter Biden's laptop is?
And you see open court, red tie guy goes straight to a tight mouth, very stern, kind of like he wanted to say something. He's got to keep it in because he is not the one speaking.
Again, I'm not going to talk about any potential ongoing investigation as I sit here.
Do you know where it is?
I'm not going to talk about any ongoing investigation.
You come here and you tell us you...
So we see blue tie, beta, going through his mind as they're talking about this laptop. And he's doing like a little roundabout search. It was just kind of odd. And finally he gets to the filtering part of his brain. He may actually be trying to figure out a way to say it for the other guy who is answering the questions, but it's like a role playing in his head. He's not the one that's in that position, but this is how he would say it, blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, his brain is kind of doing a search, pretty much justifying in his head the response.
Follow the facts and the law, but you can't even follow a laptop that you guys have had for 3 years.
We follow the facts and the law, and we speak in open court about our cases.
But you aren't speaking about this.
So you got Alpha over there who's not very happy with Olson. I guess he feels that he's being very weak in his position and not shutting down Gaetz. He's got things that he would have said. And Beta over there is starting to re-examine his life as the logic is starting to seep through.
You know who is speaking about it? The whistleblowers from the FBI.
This would have been nice to see, but we don't get to see it.
And said that you guys purposefully take any information that is derogatory about Hunter Biden and you go and rat hole it so that you never have to speak about it in any circumstance. But the good news is you're not the only ones with that laptop. So Patrick Ho was convicted of bribing government officials in Africa, and he gave $1 million to Hunter Biden. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not going to speak about any ongoing investigation.
Is that an ongoing?
So now you see stress from Alpha. Apparently Patrick Ho is a hot button issue. And you've got Beta over here.
Is that an ongoing investigation?
I'm not going to.
Who's really starting to take some deep breaths.
That degrades the country's belief in you guys when you have whistleblowers.
That would have been nice to see too, but oh well.
Information, and then you come here and say you won't talk about it. I mean, inside Hunter Biden's multi-million-dollar deals with a Chinese energy company, Washington Post, Matt Vizier, Chinese elite paid $31 million to Hunter and the Bidens, Peter Schweitzer in the New York Post. Hunter Biden's business partner called Joe Biden the big guy in panic messages. Do you guys call Joe Biden the big guy at the Department of Justice?
So I think it's important to understand why.
It would be really nice to be able to see them as these questions are being asked. But Beta is internalizing something. We don't know what his internal dialogue is, but he is definitely internal dialoguing. And it's not giving stress towards Olson because he's not looking at Olson. He's giving no indication towards Olson. So this internal dialogue has nothing to do with the response coming out of Olson's mouth. This is completely in himself. And you could sit there and think that maybe it has something to do with how he would respond, or maybe it has him trying to justify the events that have led up to this little questioning, or maybe he's contemplating his life choices. We don't know. We have no idea. One, because it would be nice to be able to see as the questions are coming out and you could see the triggers. But we don't see any triggers because we don't get to see him as these questions are being asked. Whereas you see Alpha and Olsen, they're unfazed. They're just doggedly sticking to the narrative. You've got Alpha, who gets a little peeved at Olsen's responses because he doesn't seem to think that they're effective enough. But other than that, they're in control.
Why we don't speak about cases outside of the courtroom.
By the way, I already know why.
Sir, if I may answer the question.
You know why you don't speak about it? Because it's about Hunter Biden. You guys have no problem leaking about other stuff, right? Like, you got no problem going out and tagging parents at school board meetings as a national security threat. But when all of the facts and all of the law are before you regarding the corruption of Hunter Biden, you don't want to speak to that at all. And it's precisely why you've got folks that are talking to Senator Grassley about it. Bohai Harvest. So 10 days after Vice President Biden takes Hunter Biden to China, 10 days after this long, toiling venture of Hunter Biden that can't get off the ground, 10 days after they go, he automatically gets approved. So for a deal in China with Bohai Harvest. Like, have you guys looked into that?
I'm not going to talk about any ongoing investigation.
Well, you know who else is talking? Tony Bobolinsky. Tony Bobolinsky told the world that Joe Biden was cut in on a CCP energy deal that was orchestrated by Hunter Biden. Like, have you guys talked to Tony Bobolinsky?
Again, we don't talk about ongoing investigations in settings.
So here we go. We saw the very slightest of movements, a negative direction of Beta. We see Alpha, who's literally covering his mouth. This apparently is the highest stressor point, China. Dealings with China. And by the negative head shake from this one, there is no ongoing investigation at all. But I think Beta, he's really trying to reevaluate his life right now. No, there's no ongoing investigation. Maybe he's not getting cut in. Or maybe he's seeing things from a new perspective. Who knows? We'll never actually have the full until we can see all of it. Now, every time you hear ongoing investigation, it's because there is no ongoing investigation. It's word salad they throw at you to make you shut up.
If you like it, please share and subscribe.
Thanks for watching.
To be notified of all videos that get released, because not all of them can be posted here, in the description is a link to our Telegram channel, and if you subscribe, you'll be notified of every single video, and we don't spam it with anything else other than video releases.